Calcutta, the city. Formally established in the year 1686, born out of expansion plans of the British Raj in India. In its birth, the city was an amalgamation of tiny hamlets captured by the European powers in India, Sultanati, Govindpur and Calcutta. The last of these, Calcutta, gave Calcutta its name. In 1757, after the Battle of Plassey, Robert Clive took over the city, defeating Siraj-ud-Dawla, the Nawab of Bengal. Establishment of the Supreme Court in Fort William in 1774 made the city the base of the British in India. Seven years later, in 1783, Sir William Jones came here as junior judge. He was a poet, a linguist and above all, an Orientalist par excellence. Jones had a strong passion for the arts, for Sanskrit, grammar and poetry. He delved into philosophy, law, religion, politics, morality, arithmetic, medicine and other sciences. And he drew around him many like-minded British officials who lived in Calcutta at the time. On the 15th of January 1784, in the Grand Jury Room of Supreme Court at Fort William in Calcutta, 30 gentlemen, the elite of the European community, passed a resolution for establishment of what is today called the Asiatic Society.
Sir William Jones was a visionary. And he not only studied our ancient books, Vedas and other things.
To honor the treasures of India, to make the world known about the Indian, particularly various languages, Sanskrit, Arabic, Pali, Prakrit, Tibetan. And these are the classical languages which are the assets of Indian culture.
It all started with Bengal famine. Afterwards, the transfer of power to rule this country from a company to the empire itself. So Warren Hastings, when he came here, he had an idea and policy of cultural aspects as well as to run the administration you must know the people of India, and that's why he actually was the main cause behind the foundation of two main important and very important institutions. One is Asiatic Society and another is Fort William College. And for that reason, Hastings had brilliant group of people from then last being Sir William Jones, who came here in 1783.
This Asian dream was mandated to encompass the entire range of human knowledge. The society went on to become the first body to recognize the common ancestry of Sanskrit with Greek, Latin and other European languages. And they recognized the brilliance of Sanskrit as more perfect, even more than Greek. The Asiatic Society had humble beginnings. The initial works include a translation of Kalidas's Shakuntala, which was done by Sir William Jones. In the years to come, works produced by the Society opened the eyes of European scholars to the grandeur of India, its science, civilization and culture.
Madam, what role did James Prinsep played in the evolution of Asiatic Society of Calcutta?
Actually, James Prinsep was the assay master of the Calcutta Mint, and that's why he became interested in the reading the legend on the coins. So from that aspect, when he became the philological secretary here in the Asiatic Society, he found this inscription collected from the Bairat rock edict. This is known as Bairat rock edict of Ashoka, collected from Delhi and Jaipur. It was brought from there, and he became interested in Ashokan Brahmi inscription. And for that, later he tried to decipher the Brahmi script, because there are a number of Ashokan edicts throughout the country, and pillar edicts are there. So he started to decipher along with the help of other Sanskrit scholars. So later Brahmi Mo he tried to decipher and compare with the Sanskrit and other languages, mainly from Sanskrit. So later on he deciphered the original Brahmi script, and from that throughout the country we can decipher about the Ashokan edicts written in Brahmi script, and from that we can know about the Ashokan Dhammo, extent of empire, Ashokan history.
Entire memorandum of the Asiatic Society, and the memorandum when he was in the frigate Crocodile, he was coming from England, and at that point of time he brought that he drafted that memorandum, and in that memorandum he was telling about the entire Arabian Sea, the cover of Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean itself. And he was thinking of a great civilization, if not two. The antiquities, the tradition, the science, the literature, the arts, the humanities and whatnot, archaeology, everything. So man and nature, whatever is performed by one and produced by the other within the geographical limits of Asia.
It is widely acknowledged that Asiatic Society is unique in many ways, being the oldest learned institution in modern India, which made the single most important contribution to the revival of the Indian spirit that lay behind the Indian Renaissance.
They started with Upanishads, they went for Vedas, they went for Sritis, they went for Nyayas, they went for all sorts of Dharma Shastra, and in the Arabic Persian world, they went for Aini Akbari, Akbarnama and what not, everything almost.
The founders of the society aimed at a union of Indian and European learning. Raja Ram Mohan Roy and his colleagues were enthusiastic about the new knowledge of the West, but without alienating themselves from the front of old Indian wisdom. It was an undying passion for Sanskrit and the resultant revelations of its founder that led MacDonald quote in his History of Sanskrit Literature that, since the Renaissance, there has been no event of such worldwide significance in the history of culture as the discovery of Sanskrit literature in the later part of the 18th century.
By reviving the spirit of India in the modern age, because of the knowledge of the past of India is a factor, then obviously we say it is necessary. And if the study of Indology, India's people, India's culture, India's politics, India's science and technology, India's medicine, of course helpful for making it feasible for the Indians to have glory of their country.
It is through the Asiatic Society that the world's attention was first drawn to India's rich heritage. Its philosophy, literature, mathematics, medicine, astronomy, as well as the methodology of scientific investigation. The Asiatic Society of Kolkata was also the model of all other Asiatic societies of the world, including the Royal Asiatic Society of Great Britain and Ireland, which was established in 1823. A large number of important national institutions grew up between 1785 and 1860, and the Asiatic Society either directly or indirectly inspired their growth. One of these was the Calcutta Medical College, which was established in 1835. Over the last 2 centuries, the society's name has undergone a series of changes. From Asiatic Society of Bengal in 1832 to Royal Asiatic Society of Bengal in 1936. In July 1952, the body came to be known as the Asiatic Society. The society's building, constructed in 1805, remains among the most important historical edifices in the metropolis, a national monument in its truest sense. The new building, built in 1965, was inaugurated by Dr. Sarvaballi Radhakrishnan, then President of India. He dedicated the society to the advancement of science and human spirit, to be achieved through international cooperation, as was visualized by Sir William Jones in 1784. In many ways, the Asiatic Society has promoted the growth and development of major academic associations and institutions in India. The advent of society highlights the diverse yet integrated character of Indian life. Its findings have not only helped the British learn from the Indian culture, but also enabled Indians to rediscover their own heritage and understand the lost glories of their past.
Bibliotheca Indica series started in 1848 with a edition of E. Roer, edited by E. Roer, Rig Veda. Now the question is that there is also a very good story about it, because as you understand that when Rig Veda was actually Roer started editing Rig Veda, at that point of time suddenly the East India Company and the Empire, they told him that, well, please stop the thing, because the Max Muller has been given the work on contract basis to edit the entire text, and that's why Roer dropped the thing, and we had only one fasciculus published, and thereafter it all started with in so many divisions, in Sriti, in Naz, in both in Sanskrit, in Arabic, Persian.
Today, the Asiatic Society is the oldest institution of learning in science and humanities in the country.
The Asiatic Society was the first institution in the whole of India to collect our ancient heritage monuments, and most of them were scattered all over India, but the members of the Asiatic Society collected those things from far off places and brought everything to India, to Asiatic Society.
We are publishing each year many books and journals. Our manuscript section is a very rich one, where about 45 to 65 manuscripts are preserved.
Its immense contributions and its historic importance were recognized in it being declared as an institution of national importance by an Act of Parliament in its bicentenary year on January 11, 1984. In her inaugural speech at the bicentenary celebrations, the then Prime Minister Mrs. Indira Gandhi had said,
"Some institutions reflect history and some contribute to it. This society has done both. Through its work, it revealed India's cultural and intellectual achievements to Europe. It can be said that the revival of India's spirit originated here."
The Asiatic Society also runs a program called Heritage India. It is an ambitious and imaginative project which would seek to integrate various activities of the Asiatic Society in a way that would reflect the aspirations and achievements of the people of India. The idea may be traced to the address of Srimati Indira Gandhi delivered at the bicentenary celebrations of the society in 1984. She said,
Heritage is not merely to be admired and drawn upon. It has to be studied in depth, and as means of self-understanding, it has to be preserved, cherished, and enriched.
The Library of Asiatic Society is the oldest of its kind in modern India. Initially, the library was located in private dwelling houses of the pioneers, as the society did not have its own house. Gradually, its collections grew and were brought into its own house. The nucleus was, however, formed initially from the gifts received from various sources and on exchange with society's own publications. The collections were expanded and enriched by the titles of Tipu Sultan Library in 1800 and those of Fort William College between 1810 and 1830.
Mainly it's a library on Indology. India related subjects are here. Indian history, culture, archaeology, art, architecture, history of science, geology, architecture. This type of information, this type of books we have in our collection. And we have readers not only in India but in abroad. We have the readers, scholars came here. You may see some of them are just now using the library. And we have our members also. Members are also using the library.
Today, there are about 2 lakh books and journals, monographs and pamphlets in European and Indian languages on various fields of humanistic knowledge. There is a good collection of books and journals on life sciences and earth sciences. Many of the books are rare and are kept in a separate sequence. The library receives 155 journals on subscription and 302 journals in exchange.
एक्चुअली यहाँ पे बहुत सारे जर्नल्स हैं, बहुत पुरानी जर्नल्स. आई थिंक दैट विल हेल्प मी फॉर माय थीसिस. सरस्वती का स्थान है, पीठस्थान है ये. इसमें तो मतलब आप लोग चाहिए तो आप जाएंगे आप म्यूज़ियम पे तो आप देखेंगे कितना सारा मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट है, कितना स्कल्पचर है, कितना पिक्चर है और बहुत सारा. मेनली द मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स आर वेरी मच रेयर.
The society has also compiled Encyclopedia Asiatica in 8 volumes. Perhaps the most priceless assets of this more than 200-year-old institution are its manuscripts. It has been a long journey.
Yes.
And you must have faced lots of, I'm talking about society, must have faced lots of challenges also.
Yes.
So, can you just highlight some of them?
Yes. Yes, we are doing challenges because all these materials are very rare. And we are digitizing these copies and published the materials, publishing also. And these are the challenges because to preserve these age-old materials and to edit and collate and publishing.
How you manage to identify this material? How you source them? Is there any method to it?
To identify the materials, yes, there are a number of scholars. We have the Tibetan scholars, we have the Arabic Persian scholars. Even if we feel need, then we call invite the Burmese scholars and other scholars from the institutions. And we want to work with the institutions and all academic institute bodies from throughout the world also. And we are going in that path, and whatever the important achievement we have done, that we got the MRC or Manuscript Resource Center as the preservation of our national heritage. So we are doing a challenging work and we are ready to work with the other academic bodies of the throughout the world. This is Jami-ut Tariq, History of the Chengiz Dynasty. This is very important, written by Rashiduddin and written in Persian. This is illustrated manuscript. This is a Siamese manuscript written on the indigenous bluish paper with ink, that is, if we rub this, it will abolish. This is Chaitanya Bhagavata. This is a very earlier text on Vaishnava biography and illustrations also. There are the illustrations, beautiful color has been used, and this is written in Bengali. This is Tarjumai Mahabharat, that it means translation of epic Mahabharata in Persian, possibly by a Hindu author.
The unique collection comprises of a large number of bundles. Many of these bundles contain not just one but several manuscripts that are being carefully examined and catalogued. It comprises manuscripts in 41 languages and dialects, covering just about every subject known to man. that covers Pali, Prakrit, Hindi, Maithili, Sarda, Gujarati, Marathi, Assamese, Oriya, Bengali, Rajasthani, Tamil, Telugu and other South Asian languages. There are also a large collection of manuscripts in Arabic, Persian, Turkish, Pashto, Urdu and Armenian. And last but not the least, the collection in Sino-Tibetan and Southeast Asian languages like Chinese, Tibetan, Burmese, Siamese and Javanese. The material used is also varied, ranging from palm leaves, barks of different trees to leather, copper plates, stone blocks and handmade paper of various varieties and grades. The Society's museum has some 60,000 manuscripts written in more than 40 different languages, employing various scripts and belonging to several ages.
When the Asiatic Society was started in the year 1784 in the chamber of the Sir William Jones, at that time the manuscripts came from Fort William College. And after that, we gathered the manuscripts by advertisement in two ways. One is by purchase and next one is by gift.
This is our conservation laboratory. We are doing the restoration works of our collection that is very brittle and fragile, rare books, manuscripts, maps and so on. Manuscripts are on different types of materials, that is paper, palm leaf, birch bark, vellum, etc. Our museum people and also library people, they are sending us these materials to these restoration to the laboratory for restoration purpose. Our restorers, well trained, they are doing the restoration work of this very brittle and fragile collection of the library and museum of the society.
In 1824, the Asiatic Society formed a geological committee which started surveying the land, investigating the resources of a particular region and publishing the findings in written reports published in the Asiatic Researches. The Geological Survey of India, as it is known today, was born much later on 5th of March 1851. In 1861, the Archaeological Survey of India was founded. The Government of India communicated to the Society the first archaeological report by Alexander Cunningham, who was also a member of Asiatic Society. The Anthropological Survey of India was born on 1st of December 1945 and was largely knitted to the research initiated by the Society. A milestone in the progress of the Society was the sponsoring of the scheme for writing a comprehensive history of sciences of India. The Society did this paid work, but later the scheme was handed over to the National Institute of Science, now known as Indian National Science Academy. The Director General of UNESCO, Dr. Federico Meyer, who visited the Society in December 1993, was so deeply impressed by the rarity and wide range of the collection that this was the single factor which prompted him to identify without hesitation the Asiatic Society of Kolkata as the only resource base in India for UNESCO's gigantic Memory of the World program. Here are the salient features of the Society's programs and future plans. Extensive research programs focusing on the pluralistic yet integrated character and richness of Indian history and culture. Preparation of an Encyclopedia Asiatica, a Bengali dictionary for students and scholars whose mother tongue is not Bengali. Making more widely available for all scholars edited texts and English translations of Indian classics. Search for and collection of important manuscripts and archival records in India and abroad. Improvement of library services by introducing computers for developing the network of information systems. Linking it up with other library centers in Kolkata and its metropolitan area, keeping in view its subsequent stepping up to the national level. William Jones is dead and gone, but his dreams continue to live on. As former Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi said,
History has no holiday. Heritage is not merely to be admired and drawn upon. It has to be studied in depth and as a means of self-understanding, it has to be preserved, cherished and enriched.
The Asiatic Society takes just that amalgamation of tradition and responsibility to a whole new level.